emerald ash borer today, and that's, you'll notice my rather witty title, "They'll Thank You Later, Preparing Your Community for Emerald Ash Borer." What I mean by that is that people who are living in areas where emerald ash borer is going to be coming through do not really realize how emerald ash borer is going to impact them. They often are lacking in that knowledge, and I'll talk a little bit more about that title as we go along here. Okay, here we go. I've used this slide before, but I just love it because it really gives you a great idea of the magnitude of the problem of emerald ash borer. Most of us who are ancient like me can remember the problems that were caused by Dutch elm disease and what a devastating loss that was to the American communities when those trees died. I do remind you that at the height of Dutch elm disease, it killed about 200 million elm trees, which is a fairly large amount, but I will remind you that emerald ash borer directly threatens 7.5 billion ash trees in the U.S., and that's a whole magnitude of order higher. So this is indeed a very serious problem, and it's an especially serious problem for urban areas where ash trees were often planted to replace those lost to Dutch elm disease and planted in their own right because they're just jolly good street trees. So watch out, it's coming. Of course, here is the latest map that we have for emerald ash borer, and I invite you to look at this. If your state is not represented here, but it's adjoining or close by one of these states that show up here, you are the people I need to talk to. So I hope that a lot of you are on from those states. Now, if you're in an urban area that's threatened by emerald ash borer, we all know that detecting its arrival in your community is extremely important. And there's no denying that, because how else are you going to know it's there? But I tell you, if you're in one of those states that I just showed you, you can pretty well bet the farm that emerald ash borer is going to arrive in your urban areas. If you think detecting the insect is the only thing you need to do, you might need to tune in and adjust your screen, because things have changed a little bit, and that will bring us around to talking about NAB. By the time emerald ash borer is established in your community, it might be kind of late in the game. It might be too late to do anything but cut down the dying ash trees, and this is really a terrible waste. It doesn't serve your community well. So in a sense, it's kind of time to change the channel on what we're really focusing on in emerald ash borer infested areas, especially in those urban areas. And that's where NAB, Neighbors Against Bad Bugs, comes in. There's our very colorful logo. I mean, who could resist this logo, right? Okay. Well, as I said, if you are in an urban area where there are ash trees and you're in that on the map that I just showed you, sooner or later emerald ash borer will attack ash trees in these vulnerable communities. Unfortunately, there's just not much else to say about that. It's established, it's coming, and it's a big problem. People can act before emerald ash borer arrives to help conserve some of the ash canopy that is in these urban areas, and there's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't do that, and I'll tell you why they should in just a few minutes. But we have found here at Purdue, we've been working on emerald ash borer since it came to Indiana in 2004, that there are some issues that people have about acting before a problem arises. And in the case of emerald ash borer, one of the biggest problems we've noted is that few people can really go out and tell you definitively what an ash tree is. Now, I know most people can certainly go out and tell you what a maple tree is, and most people can go out and tell you what an oak tree is, but ask people to go out and point out an ash tree and you may be in for a surprise. The other issue is that most people have no idea what to do before emerald ash borer arrives. Even if they do know that there are ash trees out there and they know they have them, they're not clear and they're confused on what they need to do to protect those ash trees. And that leads to the third problem, which is that many people really don't know where to go to find reliable science-based information or who to contact if they have questions or concerns. They just don't know, and humans being what we are, we tend to run up against that wall and stop right there and never go on and pursue it further. So these are the considerations that we had in mind when we developed the Neighbors Against Bad Bug programs here at Purdue. I'm going to talk just for a second about one of the cities in Indiana which is a good example of the problems I just mentioned, those 3 problems I just mentioned. Emerald ash borer was first found in Allen County, Indiana. That's where our second largest city, Fort Wayne, Indiana, is located. First found in 2006, and of course we did everything right. We went out, we gave public outreach meetings, we had a lot of media things up there, newspaper, radio, television. There was a lot of initial interest back in 2006, but once again, people being what they are, it kind of faded out, and some people did respond, and the communities, the rural foresters, or I'm sorry, the urban foresters certainly did respond as best they could. But ash trees nevertheless began dying in great quantities in 2010. And in fact, as of right now, Fort Wayne has lost a vast proportion of its ash trees, and there's a lot of kind of bare, ugly spots up there like you can see in this picture, and that's still going on. And this is in spite of us doing everything right and doing great outreach and to the homeowners, but they just didn't get it, and they don't get it until it's right in their face. So what happened in Fort Wayne is there were a lot of missed opportunities to conserve these really beneficial, valuable ash trees, and now of course the homeowners up there are coping with reduced property values, increased energy costs, problems with rainwater, etc. And to this day I still get phone calls down here at Purdue from homeowners in the Fort Wayne area who say, gosh, you know, all of my trees in my backyard and my front yard are all dying, and gosh, why didn't anyone tell us about this? Isn't there anything we can do now to save our trees? So with this in mind and these problems in mind, and before our biggest city in Indiana goes up in flames, which is Indianapolis, and it certainly it could go that way, we decided to intervene and develop a program that might help get people to protect their ash trees earlier and avoid the problems that Fort Wayne has had. So why do we want a NAB? That's a good question. I didn't know that was a verb, but I guess it kind of is. Well, emerald ash borer is not a theoretical problem anymore. It's a fact. And if you are if you're in Michigan, Ohio, or Indiana, you'll attest to the truth of that statement. It is a fact, and it does cause big problems, especially in urban areas. If you have ash trees, even if you're not in Indiana, Ohio, or Michigan, if you have them anywhere in your state and they're concentrated in your urban areas, it's a matter of time. These insects are eventually going to find those trees. And when they do, you will hear from homeowners and municipalities who are begging for help, because the problems that emerald ash borer causes are financial problems, which, good Lord, we don't need any more of those anymore. We don't need in addition to our financial problems. They're ecological, and they also, emerald ash borer also greatly reduces aesthetic value in urban areas. So these are very real and very serious problems. Well, what is NAB, Neighbors Against Bad Bugs? Well, when we were trying to come up with an idea to handle the issues that we just discussed, we tried to bring in pre-existing organizations, and the one that really called out to us was Master Gardeners, which in Indiana and of course other states is a kind of offshoot of the university extension system. Master Gardeners come to you with a database already intact. They understand these issues a little better than just the average citizen, and they're in their own community. So we decided to develop a program that would focus on extension, master gardeners. We also decided to involve city governments and municipality governments in there because they're also extremely affected. And we also looked for a pre-existing way of getting to homeowners, and what better to do that than neighborhood associations. So what we did was we created a mix these organizations, and I will tell you right now that this isn't written in stone. We can use any kind of volunteer organizations to do this, but these are the ones that NAB was founded on. Now, what NAB's purpose is to identify the ash resource in communities before emerald ash borer arrives while there's still options to protect ash trees or make good decisions about ash management. We wanted to show communities and homeowners where to go for that science-based information on managing their ash trees so that they're less vulnerable to the people who crawl out of the woodwork and try and take advantage of them with, fortunately, I think there's more legitimate businesses than bad ones, but they are out there, as any of you know. And we also wanted to bring an added benefit to neighborhoods and homeowners in teaching them to band together to negotiate group discounts with their local tree care companies on using pesticides, tree removal, or whatever, but just in management of their ash trees in kind of a painless way that was kind of fun and not a lot of work and not a lot of expense. So that's the elements of NAB. That's what we wanted to do, and I'm happy to tell you that we successfully did that. NAB, Neighbors Against Bad Bugs, is centered around one event, and that is the ash tree tagging event. It's very, very simple. Like I said, it's low cost, and it works simply this way. What we do is we get the organizations together to find neighborhoods where ash trees are prevalent, and we go out and we tag the trees. It's that simple. We do use the input from the city governments on trees. We're looking for trees in the public rights of way because we don't want anyone getting hurt by walking on people's property. But what we're trying to do is create a visual that anybody in the neighborhood who walks out of their door will say, good heavens, what are those tags doing on my ash tree? And they'll go over, they'll look at the tree, they may not even know it's an ash tree, and they'll instantly know where to go for good information. And hopefully they're out there while the tree tagging's going on, and they develop a relationship with their neighborhood association and the master gardeners. It's pretty simple, it doesn't take a lot of time, and yet it's so very, very effective. NAB's a win-win scenario for all involved. It certainly is a win-win for the master gardeners because they can use the time they spend on NAB to complete their volunteer service hours while they're actually providing real benefit to their friends and neighbors. So that's a win for the master gardeners. And another thing, being at a university, all of us have concerns about the future of cooperative extension. So this is something else where a very nice, clean program that cooperative extension can really get involved in, and it gives them a very good public face and good media. So there's benefits built in to do that as well. Now, the other thing that's the beauty of NAB is that it literally takes the message home, and that's been a big problem when we do our public outreach meetings, etc. Sure, you're going to get the most interested people who are going to go to the trouble of coming to the meetings or reading an article or whatever you're doing, but this literally takes the message right to their homes in their neighborhoods so that they can't miss it. And that has been one of the best things about NAB, is that it gets into the neighborhoods. It's a very simple program. As I said, it's extremely low cost. When you get this group together, it inevitably turns out to be fun. And the program itself is very adaptable. It's not written in stone. You can adapt it to however suits your needs best. And the biggest benefit of all is that it actually helps to conserve ash trees and the benefits they provide that otherwise would be ignored until they were, or maybe not ignored, but otherwise would be lost. So those are the things about NAB. You may be a little surprised to hear me speaking this way about preserving ash trees or conserving ash trees instead of just taking them down. And I'm happy to say that the thinking about this has changed a lot in the last few years, in that there's really no reason to let ash trees just go to heck and die from emerald ash borer. Now, not all ash trees, of course, can or should be preserved or conserved with pesticides, but many, many of them in urban settings, there's absolutely no reason not to. The pesticides that are being used now are effective and they're safe, and they are certainly available. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why should you even conserve a living ash tree instead of just pulling it out and putting something else in, to replace it? Well, first of all, who's to say in 5 years from now you're not going to have the same problem with whatever species that you replace it with? So you've got a good healthy tree that's growing well. Those are the ones you want to look at to preserve, and they do provide real actual benefits to your community. I went to this website down at the bottom, treebenefits.com, which is a lot of fun to play around with. I plugged in a 24-inch ash tree to see what kind of benefits that tree provides, to see if I could justify the cost of treating that tree instead of having it removed. And what I came up with was, well, you can see the pie graph on the left there. Very surprising stuff. The stormwater value is, which I had honestly never really thought about, is very high at $85. But electricity values, property value, natural gas, carbon dioxide, air quality, these are all tangible benefits that this tree provides. So I have $212 that I can justify spending to preserve that tree rather than just removing it, and the benefits only grow as the tree does. As I mentioned before, not all ash trees can or should be treated or conserved with pesticides. If they're not in good shape to start with, it's not going to work anyway. But trees that are in good sites, that are important to where they are, whether they be on the street or they be in a person's yard, trees that are vigorously growing and appear healthy, trees that add shade and value to homes, and trees with living portions that are worth saving. In other words, trees that are not so deformed that they're just going to look weird even if they do survive, are the ones that these are the ones that you want to focus on and instruct people that they might want to consider conserving these trees. How can ash trees be saved from emerald ash borer? Well, there's several effective pesticides that are out there, several different methods with varying costs, varying application methods, and I'm not going to get into that today on this particular call, but if you are interested, you want to see what's out there, you can go to emeraldashborer.info, and I see my O drop down there, sorry about that. But there's ways that homeowners can preserve ash trees, especially those under 24 inches in circumference that are in good shape. And then for trees over 24 inches in circumference, there's several methods that professionals can apply. Remember, on a 24-inch tree, you got $212 to play with, so things are not looking as bad as they used to, for sure. Now, there is a problem with all this thinking. There's no pesticide in the world that's going to rescue an ash tree if the treatment is started too late. I don't care what it is. If the tree's too damaged, the tree's going to go down, just like in this picture. So that's, once again, that turns our focus back to NAB. Like I said, making good decisions about managing ash trees before EAB arrives is actually ideal and very hard to get people to do if they don't know what an ash tree is. But it saves money and allows conservation of the tree canopy in yards and neighborhoods. And if you think about it, I'm sure Robin would agree that people in Michigan and especially in Detroit never got the opportunity to do anything about emerald ash borer before it arrived, and what a difference that would have made if that had been possible. Detroit wouldn't look quite as denuded as it does at the moment. So NAB is about motivating people to act sooner, before emerald ash borer is actually killing their trees. We're going to teach them, once again, just as kind of a review, we're going to teach our neighbors how to where their ash trees are and what decisions to make about them. We're going to teach them about lessening the impact of EAB and the value of doing that before the insect arrives. A very important factor, I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to emphasize this, is to negotiate with tree care companies for a group price. We've talked to several tree care companies. that are in agreement with us that if you have a neighborhood association and you have some people in that neighborhood who want to have them come out and treat in bulk, they're going to get a much better price than if they try to do it on their own. And really, most importantly of all, I think, is where to go for good information and advice. If people can go somewhere for good information and science-based information and advice, you're protecting them against all the bad things that can happen from companies that try to come in and take advantage. One of the features, of course, is that if you do the NAB event, you can see our bright green tag there. We changed from purple to green. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But anyway, if they see our bright green tags, they're probably going to go over thinking maybe it's a garage sale or something, but they get educated just in the 10 or 20 seconds that they glance at that tag, and I'll show you another feature of that tag. And this is the first time my website has come up, www.eabindiana.info. You're going to say, oh boy, that's all for Indiana. What, I'm over here in Minnesota or whatever. What am I going to do? Well, I'll tell you about how that's going to be handled too in just a second. In fact, I'm going to tell you about it right now, and that is that all the material for NAB that's on our website, and I'm going to take you to that website in a few minutes and show you what's out there. All of this material can be shared with any agency or organization interested in conducting NAB events, and it can be converted to be specific for that state. So, and we don't ask any money for that. All we ask is that somewhere on the converted material you keep the Purdue logo on it. And if you have any questions about that, we can certainly help you with that. You can contact me directly. So hopefully, oh, there you go. Don't I look like an emerald ash borer? I'm not proud of that. But anyway, okay, we did change from purple tags to bright green ones simply because we wanted to use paper that was more weather resistant, and as far as I know, nobody makes purple paper that is weather resistant. So we went to a bright green color, which shows up very, very well. And I wanted to show you, since the tagging events are so completely important for the NAB program, I wanted to take a minute and show you some of the features of the tag. You'll notice at the very top of it, please leave this tag up until whenever. That's to be filled in by the volunteer that's doing it, because there was, when we first did our event, there was some confusion as to that. So if the people see that you want to leave this tag up 2 weeks, or you want to leave it up a month or whatever, if there's a date on it, they'll leave it up till then. The science-based information right in the center, eabindiana.info, that can be your website. That can direct them to your science-based information. That's no problem to change at all. But most people most people go in and they'll go to our website and they'll be amazed at how much stuff there is for them on that website. For people who, we had to consider too, people who don't have access to the internet, which is rare anymore, but it does happen, especially with older people. So we did put down an address for them to write to, and we have had people do that. But one of the things we changed about our tag to make it a little more user-friendly is we went ahead when we printed it and had them put perforations in so that people can tear off, just like, you see it. Well, anyway, they can tear off the little tag and take it home with them so they can sit at their computer and see that address. And there was hardly any expense to doing that. You don't have to do that. You certainly don't. But that's something we did here, or we did here to help further our message. The other nice thing about NAB is that all these groups that were getting together, the extension educators, the city and urban foresters, the master gardeners, the media, and the neighborhood associations, you get that nice mix going, and you have a pre-existing group for when the next urban forest issue comes along, and those relationships can be extremely valuable, because I wish I could tell you that there's never going to be another emerald ash borer or another problem where the community is going to have to get involved, but I think all of us are realistic enough to know that that's not going to be the case. There certainly are going to be other issues, and if you have a nice alliance like that, boy, you are way ahead of the game. And that's something we found around Lafayette and West Lafayette. And we are learning that about Indianapolis, where our NAB focus is right now in Indianapolis, because they are just ripe for emerald ash borer. It's just starting down there. But you can see some of our volunteers out, and we even have our hats that we did, which are, you know, highly fashionable and very desirable. But by acting as a group, once again, I'm going to tell you again that to the neighborhood, to the homeowner, this ability to negotiate for better prices as a group is invaluable to them. And also, as I said before, you want to protect especially your elderly people from unscrupulous businesses that go out to neighborhoods that are being attacked by emerald ash borer. It's sad, but it's a fact of life. That does happen. I kind of put together this little chart that just shows you, it looks complicated, trust me, it is not in any way. I'm going to just walk you through a couple of the steps here, and then we're going to go out to the web where you can see where all these materials are, and we even put together a nice timeline for you. So all you have to do to be able to do NAB is read. So we'll start with the very first step, which is with our extension people. Once again, I'm going to emphasize this is adaptable. It doesn't have to be done through extension. This is just the way we did it, but it's certainly fine to do it however you want to do it. The first one is to find the leaders, the education leaders of this, and in our case that was our extension educators, because they naturally had the Master Gardeners effort, and we do in Indiana, we encourage our extension educators to go to the web and become very familiar with NAB programs, because they do get requests from neighborhood associations in our different counties here in Indiana who hear about NAB and want to do it. So our extension educators are the first link in the chain. The second step is to train the volunteers, which are, in our case, once again, our Master Gardeners. Don't have to be Master Gardeners, but that's what we use. And to help everybody get on the same page, even Master Gardeners can use a little boost sometimes on information. We at Purdue have developed a Master Gardener training program that can be found at the web address, and I'll show you where it is when we go out to the web. But this is a very simple program. It's something that our Master Gardeners do. They get credit for doing it. They can go out, they can log in, and they can go in and out. They don't have to do it all at one sitting or anything. And this is just a simple presentation that has some quizzes embedded in it, and before they can progress, they have to pass the quiz. But it's a very, very simple program, and it gives them a lot of good base information that we like them to have before they go out to the neighborhoods and talk to neighbors about emerald ash borer. So that's something we do here. I'm happy to share this program with you. It is certainly, you can adapt it to your own state if you're interested in doing something like that. There's no reason for you to reinvent the wheel. This one is rather Indiana-centric, but it would be a simple matter to change it over for your state or your area. Not a problem at all. Recruit neighborhood associations, planning tree tagging events, and engaging city foresters and press. You can see on this page I have kind of put out some of the timeline that we have, and you'll see this in its totality in just a few minutes. But everything you need to do these 3 tasks up here at the top is included in our website, and you can see that we have where, for example, if you look down under the local media area, we have even a guideline for you in how to engage the local media for your event, and we have a media worksheet that you can use that will just keep you right on track. It's all done for you. And there's also, once again, PowerPoints on identifying ash trees. We have a handout for identifying ash trees that we use for both the neighbors and for the Master Gardeners. So it's all right there for you, which we're really proud of that. And of course, as I mentioned before, you really do need to engage your urban and city foresters in this, because they can provide, they're a great resource for information on city, neighborhood, and neighborhood associations, where the rights of way are. I found out for myself that those are not always obvious, but these guys know exactly where it is, and they have just been wonderful partners to have. Plus, they're very interested in doing something like this because it saves them a lot of work too. For me, because I'm a big attention hog, one of the best parts of NAB is to work with the media. We had television media at both of the events we did here in Lafayette and West Lafayette, and the media just really loves to see a community out doing something positive. So there's no trouble getting the media involved and getting their attention for this. Plus, it has the added benefit of outreach to other neighborhood associations who read this and say, hey, I want to do this in our neighborhood too. So, and it's painless, it's free, it's painless, and it's fun. These are some pictures from some of the events that we did, and you can see that, well, you probably don't recognize our mayors, but both our mayors from Lafayette and West Lafayette showed up, because if there's anything a mayor loves, it's a photo op, and both of them were there. You get a lot of the high flyers in the community out at these events because they like to support their communities for one thing, but they also like these good photo ops. Now, here at Purdue, we've decided that the summer of 2011 is going to be the summer of NAB. What we're asking our extension educators to do here in the state is to arrange some NAB events in their communities throughout the summer, and our focus, of course, is EAB Awareness Week, which will occur from May 22nd to 28th, and I think most of you who work with Sharon Lusick are aware of EAB Awareness Week. So that is coming right up. We've got some things lined up in Indiana, but it doesn't have to be during that May event. It can be any time during the summer, or if you want, it can be in the winter. We don't care, but we'd like to see this effort go out and see if we can make a real difference across the region in the conservation of ash trees in the neighborhoods and on the city streets. Once again, that website that I'm going to take you to right now is eabindiana.info. Don't be put off by the Indiana in there, because, as I said, all of this material we share it with everybody who wants it, and we certainly would be happy to share it with you. And right now we're going to go out to the website, share my computer screen with you. You might have seen my whale there that I have there, but this is, hopefully you all can see this pretty well. This is our eabindiana.info website, and it's a website that we've done for, gosh, several years now. It's really got a lot of cool stuff. It's a partner with emeraldashboard.info, the website that you use to come to this program today. It's kind of an extension of that's for Indiana, but anyway, we invite you to look at all of the components of our website, but I did want to start by showing you our self-study programs. And as you can see, we have a few out there, but the one we want to focus on is the one for Master Gardeners, and I'll take you in there. Let's see here. We have ours password protected, and the reason we do that is to make sure that people can go in and out of the webinar, or I'm sorry, of the presentation rather, so they don't have to do this all at one sitting. But it's a very, very simple thing to do. I just logged in. It's so simple that it is invisible. Apparently the people downstairs are working on this right now, so I apologize, but I do invite you to go down and take a look at that later. That's really embarrassing. Is it on? Oh, shoot. Okay. Hang on a second. There it is. Okay. It should be submit. Are you seeing it? Okay. Okay, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and skip that. But anyway, shoot, that's a darn shame, because I really wanted to show you that particular thing, but apparently they've been doing some changes on it. It might be working out. But anyway, let's go back to that front page, and we'll actually enter the NAB site. As you can see, it's right down here, Neighbors Against Bad Bugs. And in we go. you'll notice that we have this. This is done in two ways. First with the master gardeners and one for neighborhood volunteers. Now, for the most part, those are exactly the same things, but as you can imagine, there's just a few tweaks that might be a little bit different from their each perspective. So we went ahead and prepared it both ways. But let's see what else I want to show you on here. There's even a webinar specifically about Neighbors Against Bad Bugs. If you didn't get enough of it today, you can certainly go to that. But let's go into it for master gardeners. There we go. And once again, you've probably heard most of this today, but I did want to show you this very specific thing, how to organize a tree tagging event. You'll find this invaluable if you decide to do a NAB or NAB-like event, because everything you need is provided for you, including a timeline to the left here where you can see we go by weeks before the event, the actual event, etc. This looks like a lot, but it really isn't. Once you just get in line and do everything as it is presented to you on this timetable, you'll find that it's pretty easy. And the second time you do it, it's real easy. Trust me. We have, for example, we have a PowerPoint on ash identification that people really do need, who are doing the event, need to, of course, to know what an ash tree looks like. So we have a printable handout that talks about identification of ash that anybody's perfectly, we're perfectly willing for anybody to use that. It's a very nice handout. You get it just by clicking there. This Master Gardener Self-Study course, Cliff is checking on that right now to see why that didn't come up. We have guidelines for engaging local media. That your group, if they've never worked with media before, this is a very handy thing for them to have, because it tells them exactly what they need to do to get local media involved. And we have a media, whoops, I'm batting about 80 today. But anyway, we do have a media worksheet that they can use as well. Now in Indiana, we do provide the tree tags and the flagging tape for our events. That certainly isn't necessary in your state. You don't have to do that. We have a downloadable tag that you can tailor to your own needs. And if you have any trouble finding that, you can always just contact me. We do link out to our local extension educators. That's something I would advise you to do. We have all kinds of handouts and things and even a project evaluation form that you can use, and suggestions to make this successful. For example, you might want to provide drinks and snacks. We went ahead and prepared maps of the neighborhood in advance, which required almost zero effort, but was very, very, very handy. We even provide you with a sign-in sheet. If you do a NAB event, please let us know how it goes for you. We'd certainly like to hear that very, very much. Oh, it is. Okay. Hang on just a second, guys, and we're going to try and go back in there. It's still being broadcast. That's good. All righty. Let's see what happened there. Don't you love the internet? Right. Hang on, I might have to retype something, Cliff, because sometimes it goes like that. There we go. Yeah, that's funny. I wonder why it's... Okay. I'm not sure. This might be an issue with my computer, but that's okay. You can go in and you can look at this yourself, and I hope you do, because it's a really nice training program that gives people a very nice background. But I am going to go back in, and I'm going to share my document and go back. But anyway, that is what NAB is all about. If you have questions about NAB, or you want to talk about NAB with me, you can certainly contact me. I will give you my contact information in the chat feature. We would certainly love to see other states engage in this. Right now, Cornell University is doing a version of NAB, and there's been a couple other states that are doing versions of NAB as well. And you may be doing something similar to this on your own. It's very possible, but why not unite and share resources? We can certainly learn from you, and I hope you can learn from us as well. I'm looking over, do you have any questions for me? Yeah, it looks like Cliff has been really doing a great job of keeping up with this today, and I would like to thank, if you don't know who Cliff is my boss here at Purdue Entomology. He's a professor of entomology here. We've been working together about 9 years, and so we anticipate each other's needs, and so it was nice to have him on there. But I would love to hear, if you notice down at the bottom of the chat feature, there's a place where you can respond to Robin about these webinars, and I would sure love to hear from you what you think about NAB or any suggestions you have, or if you're interested in doing a NAB event. So please let me know. And if there are no further questions, I think Robin, we can probably go ahead and let everybody off early today.